There are typically 4 stages in the business life cycle: establishment, growth, maturity, and post-maturity, and the length of each of these stages will be unique to each business. A diagram can be constructed showing the stages of the business life cycle relating sales on the vertical axes to time on the horizontal axes. When a business first starts, it must find a location, gather resources such as staff, and find customers for its product. During this stage, relatively few sales are made and establishment costs are high. Critically, the business must have enough capital to cover the costs of its operations until the customer base is established and a regular revenue stream develops. Businesses will have a combination of fixed costs and variable costs. Fixed costs include rent and loan repayments and must be paid even if there are no sales. Variable costs are related to the level of output and the cost per unit, with a higher level of output leading to higher variable costs. In order to keep the business afloat, firms must make enough sales and revenue to cover both their fixed and variable costs. The correlation between the level of output and the volume of sales is called the break-even point. Some businesses will never get past the establishment stage. It could just be a bad business idea that did not have a chance of establishing a customer base. It could be because of poor management decisions and misallocation of resources. Very often, however, it is because of a lack of access to funds, known as undercapitalisation. It can take a great deal of money to get a promising business established and operating successfully. If the owners do not have sufficient funds to see the business through the establishment stage, a potentially successful business might fail in its infancy. In the growth stage of the business life cycle, sales begin to increase, revenues and profits start to rise, and firms have established regular cash flow from an established and growing customer base. In order to continue to grow, they will continually monitor the cost and availability of important inputs. They may need to relocate to a newer or larger site that is able to handle the growing needs of the business. It could be that more and newer capital equipment is required to handle the increasing level of business activity. At this stage, firms might need more capital to service the growing business. Extra finance can be added through debt or equity. Increasing the debt simply means borrowing from a bank or other financial institution. This could mean that the business becomes more highly geared and a larger proportion of the revenue will go to paying interest rather than into profits. The owner could add additional money to the firm by increasing their equity. This can be done by injecting more of their own money into the business or by reinvesting part of the firm's profits. By inviting partners into the business, or by incorporating and selling shares, equity in the business can be sold to raise capital. Growth can also be achieved by what is known as integration. Horizontal integration occurs when one firm buys out another firm in the same part of the production chain, therefore increasing their overall volume of production and market share. For example, an electronics retailer looking to grow takes over a competitor, expanding the overall number of stores, opening up a larger retail footprint. Vertical integration aims to secure resource supply chains, service providers, or control of distribution networks by buying firms before and after them in the production process. A biscuit company might look to buy a chocolate maker in order to guarantee quality and supply and to expand their current product range to target a competitor. At the maturity stage, sales start to plateau and profits and revenue stabilise. In order to increase profits, businesses need to cut costs through innovation. The market becomes saturated. Product differentiation and diversification into new product lines can give a firm a competitive advantage. Management may become complacent and avoid taking risks that may threaten an established market share. In Australia, many mature industries are dominated by a few large firms, which sell similar but differentiated products. This form of market is called an oligopoly. Three situations are possible in the post-maturity stage. A process of renewal can take place where innovation, redesign or mergers and takeovers can occur. This revitalises profitability and repeats the growth stage. Some businesses are content with their level of profitability and sales and happy to remain in a steady state. They often have strong relationships with existing customers and prefer to avoid any risks involved with undertaking innovation or change. Other businesses will ultimately lose touch with their customer base or fail to respond effectively to competitors or new entrants. Their products may become obsolete or outdated, and as a result, the business will decline and fail. Of course, businesses may voluntarily cease operations or close because of the owner's choice to finish their business, by retiring, for example. Many factors influence the stages and timing of a business's life cycle. And while these influences may be difficult to predict, careful management and constant focus on operations and the broader market will give every business the best chance of survival and growth.